Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, welcome back to our weekly Gita study group. We're very happy that we are finishing second section in chapter 2. So just 1 second, let me move this one. The shadow will not come. Okay. So anyone remember what is the acronym for chapter 2? Gita, right? Gita. So we keep repeating this so everybody remembers. G for
Guru.
Guru. Okay. I for
Identity.
identity. Thank you. And next one. So we are in section 2, identity, right? Verse 11 to 30, we are in identity section. And what is T? T for?
Transcendency.
That's a very good answer, but we have kind of manipulated that. We have said 2 duties. Verse 31 to 53, Lord Krishna will tell about occupational duty and spiritual duty. Okay. Okay. And then A?
Atmaramam.
Atmaram, yes, Samadhistha. Those who are in Samadhi, they are fully enjoying within. Yes, very good. So let me share screen and we will read from verse 27 this time, right? So I have so many things open here. Let's see why it didn't come. Okay, yeah. Okay. So chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, right? So we are in section 2, verse 11, where Lord Krishna starts giving the instruction to Arjuna. Arjuna is depressed in the battlefield. He is indecisive. He gave several arguments. He didn't want to fight because he was afraid of sinful reaction. He was afraid of losing the enjoyment after everybody is dead. He was afraid of, third thing is that the culture will be lost because the ancestors will be lost, so they will not be able to teach the new generation, and the new generation will not be properly trained to help their older generation to get liberation. What was the fourth reason? Compassion. So he was feeling that I am killing unnecessary. But Lord Krishna is convincing in this section that Arjuna, you are eternal. I am eternal. Everybody in this battlefield is eternal. Because you are not this body, you are eternal soul. So right now, you are here, you were there in the past, you will be there in the future too. This key verse we read about this, this is the 12th verse I told you. And then verse 13, he says, as the embodied soul continuously passing into this body, from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. And then he says, if you are not into that consciousness, you just tolerate. You have to tolerate the happiness and distress because they are related with the body. When you can tolerate, then you are eligible for liberation. Because by tolerating the situation, one can gain knowledge. When we are in school, we are learning. We have to tolerate so many things. We have to tolerate heat and cold. We have to tolerate, the timings of the school. We may not be, able to eat properly. So we have to tolerate so many inconveniences to learn even the material knowledge. So what about the spiritual knowledge? We have to tolerate. Then we can realize the soul. We have to work on the self-realization. And that starts with our process is by chanting and hearing about Krishna. We're hearing from Bhagavad Gita, from Krishna. Because Krishna is speaking here, we're hearing from Krishna. And we chant his name. So by hearing and chanting, we develop that consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Then we can realize we are not this body, we are eternal servant of Krishna. Because of not serving Krishna, we are suffering. So Krishna gives so many arguments here that the soul is eternal and body is temporary. And as one changes dress, similarly, one changes the body. So similarly, one will get into another body after the death. He gives this analogy. And he tells about the different natures of soul here. We will discuss further. So we'll come to verse 27. Okay. So here is from verse 26 onwards, Lord Krishna is giving the argument, kind of argument that Arjuna, you are a civilized man, you are a Mahabaho. You should understand that you are not this body, you are eternal. But if you are thinking like atheist philosophy, that the soul is born and then it will die, then still you don't worry about like death of a bag of chemicals, because anyway you are thinking that it has born, it will die, so why should you worry? Same argument he continues in this verse 27. I will read the Sanskrit and I will request the volunteers to continue the English part. Okay. So verse 27. Jatasya hi dhruvor mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad pariharyarthe natvam sochitum arhasi. Okay. Volunteer to translation and purport.
Yeah, one who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. One has to take the birth according to one's activities of life, and after finishing one term of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next. In this way, one is going through one cycle of birth and death after another without liberation. This cycle of birth and death doesn't, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. The battle of Kurukshetra is being the will of the Supreme was an inevitable event and to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should he be afraid of or aggrieved at the death of his relative since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, therefore, by becoming subjected to the relations of sinful activities of which he was so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action.
Yes. So the emphasis here is that by knowing that anyway the death will come, that does not mean that we kill the body right now. Naturally, the body has to last as long as it can last. We are not attached to it, but at the same time, we are not also hateful to the body to immediately, murder someone or slaughter someone. So unnecessary war is not being encouraged by Lord Krishna here. Lord Krishna has tried his best. He has mediated. Arjuna is such a compassionate devotee. But he is Kshatriya. His main occupation is to protect the citizens, leadership. So he was discriminated by his cousins and removed from the kingdom. And these 5 brothers now, they don't have any occupation, and they try to negotiate. The other party, Kauravas, they unnecessary, by cheating, they removed them from kingdom. And they didn't even give them 5 villages, as Lord Krishna was trying to request them. Just give them 5 villages. They will be happy. They are not asking another kingdom. But the other party, Duryodhana, they did not agree. They were such sinful people, and they were hating their cousins. So there was no other option, because Lord Krishna, he comes to establish the law and order. And there was misuse of Lord Krishna's plan. So therefore Lord Krishna is giving instruction to Arjuna that, Arjuna, you are fighting for right cause. So you have to do your duty. If you are doing your duty, then there is no sin. Because Arjuna was saying that if I fight here, and then he was not afraid of being killed. He was just compassion, thinking that I can kill all of them, but if I kill them, then I will get sin, one of the reason. But here, Srila Prabhupada is telling us that when one does not do the duty, then one gets sinful reaction. Okay, let's read the verse 28. It continues the same theme. Avyaktādīni bhūtāni vyaktamadhyāni bharata avyaktanidhanānyeva tatra ka paridevana. Okay, another volunteer, please.
All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what need is there for lamentation?
Thank you.
Accepting that there are 2 classes of philosophers, one believing in the existence of the soul and the other not believing in the existence of the soul. There is no cause for lamentation in either case. Non believers in the existence of the soul are called atheists by followers of Vedic wisdom. Yes, even if for argument's sake we accept this atheistic theory, there is still no cause for lamentation. Apart from the separate existence of the soul, the material elements remain unmanifested before creation. From the subtle state of non manifestation comes manifestation, just as from either air is unmanif- air is generated from air, fire is generated from fire, water is generated and from water, earth become manifested. From the earth, many varieties of manifestations takes place. Take, for example, a big skyscraper manifested from the earth. When it is dismantled, the manifestation becomes again unmanifested and remains as atoms in the ultimate stage. The law of conservation of energy remains, but in course of time, things are manifested and unmanifested. That is the difference. Then what cause is there for lamentation, either in a stage of manifestation or in an unmanifestation? Somehow or other, even in the unmanifested stage, things are not lost. Both at the beginning and at the end, all elements remain unmanifested, and only in the middle are they manifested. And this does not make any real material difference. And if we accept the Vedic conclusions, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, that these material bodies are perishable in due course of time, antavanta ime dehi, but that is the soul is eternal. Nityasya sarinaha. Then we must remember always that the body is like a dress. Therefore, why lament the changing of a dress? The material body has no factual existence in relation to the eternal soul. It is something like a dream. In a dream, we may think of flying in the sky or sitting on a chariot as a king. But when we wake up, we can see that we are neither in the sky nor seated on the chariot. The Vedic wisdom encourages self realization on the basis of the non existence of the material body. Therefore, in either case, whether one believe in the existence of the soul or not, does not believe in the existence of the soul, there is no cause for lamentation for loss of the body.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So many examples given here, like the big skyscraper building manifests from the earth. Any ingredient that you put in the building of the house, whether it is a wood or plastic or metal or whatever material that you are using, um, or whether you are, for example, even if you are using a computer, everything, silicon and all, everything comes from earth. So, right now it may be unmanifest, but if you properly process these material elements, and then after that you make so many parts and then assemble them into a big house or a computer or automobile, all of this, they become manifest. And then once they are broken, again they unmanifest. So basically Lord Krishna is saying that if the body is also, the body is also like that. But if you think even the soul is like that, then still you should not be lamenting, because you know that it is going to finish. Okay, and so here is an amazing verse. This is called amazing because Krishna uses amazing word many times, Ascharya. Verse 29. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam, Ascharyavat vadati tatheva chanya, Ascharyavat chayanam anya shrunoti, Srutvapi enam vedana cheva kaschit. Okay. Another volunteer.
Yeah, I can do it. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Okay. Since Gita Upanishad is largely based on the principles of Upanishads, it is not surprising to also find this passage in the Katha Upanishad.
That's fine. You can just read the English part.
Okay. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Men with poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge, who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul as a wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding. even though it is a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes owing to ignorance. They are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and the atomic soul as one without distinction or distinction of magnitude. It is very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of the super soul, the atomic soul, their respective functions and relationships, uh, and all other major and minor details. And it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul and who is able to describe the position of the souls in different aspects. But if somehow or other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. The easiest process for understanding the subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statements of the Bhagavad Gita, spoken by the greatest authority, Lord Krishna, without being deviated by other theories. But it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in the life or in the previous ones before one is able to accept Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by causelessly mercy of the pure devotee and by no other way.
So this process, thank you so much, Arvind.
Mhm.
So this process is very mysterious. The soul is mysterious, Ascharyavat, amazing, because every now and then, we see somebody is born, somebody is dying, and we say, somebody passed away. The body is there, but what is passed away? So like by common sense, we understand. But then when we interact with each other, when we think about ourselves, we immediately forget that, no, we are not this body. So like most of the time, even though we may have a glimpse of understanding that, yes, we are souls, we are not these bodies, because Lord Krishna says that we are the same, living entity, same soul, having different kind of body during this lifetime. We were in the mother's womb, we were born as a baby, became child, youth, old age, and similarly the death will come. So as the soul is changing body during this lifetime, because it is eternal, it has to go to another body after death. So although we see every day there are different shapes and size of body, there is a birth and death, still, we come to the material consciousness, me and mine based on the body. I am American, I am Indian, I am black, I am white. All of these we recognize. We don't recognize the soul, but we recognize the bodies and discriminate based on the bodily relationship. When we really recognize the amazing soul within each one's body, and then within each soul there is a super soul in each body, then we can create the perfect equality in the society. Otherwise, we may be, trying to do some strike or make some change of policy, anti-race and anti-gender or anti-nationalism and all those things. But as long as we do not understand our real identity, that we are eternal, soul, eternally related with the Supreme Lord, and when we turn our face towards Him, then until then, that time, there will be discrimination and so many problems in the society, because everybody is trying to feel that I am different from you and from him, like that. So Srila Prabhupada says that if it requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in this life or in previous life, before one is able to accept Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because we have to accept Krishna's word. We are here in this material world to enjoy ourselves. We didn't want to submit to God. Therefore, we are away from God's own personal land. This is also God's land, but this is the place He gave us kindly to forget Him, because we wanted to forget Him. We ignored Him. And therefore, we have the ignorance. So to come back to that knowledge, we have to turn our face towards Krishna. And the last sentence Srila Prabhupada says, however, Krishna can be known as such. How? By the causeless mercy of the pure devotee and by no other way. Because Krishna has left us to be on our own. He doesn't pressurize us. He doesn't force us to go back to Him. He just waiting for us to turn towards Him. And who are there to help us? His devotees. They are very kind. So pure devotees, they help us. They remind us of Krishna. And they tell us to chant Hare Krishna. And they establish our relationship with Krishna. In their association, when we practice devotional service with love and devotion, respecting everyone, then we can understand what is my real identity, what is the nature of my real self, and what is my relationship with the Supreme Self. And then we can see everybody in equality in that relationship. So it's amazing. Unless we, work inside, we do not understand it. So the conclusive verse in this section, Lord Krishna says, Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasma sarvani bhutani natvam sochitum arhasi. Okay, next volunteer, please.
O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. The Lord now concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher, Bhishma and Drona, will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not that there is no such thing as soul, or that living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from the interaction of chemicals. Though the soul is immortal, violence not encouraged, but at the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is actual need for it. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord, not capriciously.
Yes, thank you so much. So Lord Krishna's conclusion is that the soul who is inside the body is never to be finished. It is never to be killed. Nobody can kill. So therefore, need not grieve for any living being. That does not mean that we can go on killing anybody anytime we want. It has to be justified. This theme is coming again and again, that the war or the violence on body has to be justified. It is only for protecting. It is only for the defense. It is not just to show aggression to others or create unnecessary violence and torture to others, because simply saying that, oh, simply they are bodies. So it's not like that. The sinful reaction comes when one engages in unnecessary violence. So in this section, I will show some summary, but we can go through these slides here. Let me share. Switching to the sharing mode is always a little challenging. Oh, I went to a wrong.
Do you need help? Do you need help doing the sharing stuff?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just what happens is something is not on the top. It doesn't show up. So yeah, now I'm here. That's fine. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Thanks, Arvind. Yeah. Okay. I think I will get it now. Okay. I think this is the right one. Yeah. So you can see now, right? Text 27. Arvind?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So text 27 was about, the body. If you are just thinking that, you are taking birth and then you're going to die, and then, why should you, worry about? So, birth and death cycle is described here. So what happens? Like, when you act on the basis of material desires, then you are getting some positive and negative results, like we discussed in the modules on science of self-realization. And what is karma? When you are working under the modes of material nature, based on the material conception of life, then you get the karma reaction, positive or negative reaction. Then when you have that karma and when you die with karma, when the body is getting old, then it is finished with time. So based on the past desires, what the soul has, then it gets a new body, that is birth. So it revolves in the cycle of birth and death. And the process of breaking the cycle of birth and death is liberation. So Srila Prabhupada tells in the purport that simply knowing that, okay, anyway, you were unmanifest and then you will be manifest and unmanifest, it doesn't mean that you create unnecessary violence and killing. And if Arjuna is fighting for dharma, that means doing one's prescribed duty as given by the Supreme Lord, because Krishna has created the whole creation and he wants to establish certain regulations in society. And if people violate those rules and regulations created by God, because dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. What is dharma? Is the code given by God. If people do not follow them, Lord Krishna says, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tada mahim srajamyaham. At that time I invent myself, I come whenever there is a predominance of religiosity. To establish, why he comes? To establish the dharma. So, to act for duty which is prescribed to us by the supreme authority, then we will not get sinful reaction. But when we act on our own behalf, then we will get sinful reaction. When we act for Krishna, we will not get sinful reaction. And therefore, we have to be very careful to understand what we have to do and what we should not do. And that we learn from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. We have to get direction from spiritual master, devotees, and scripture, Bhagavad Gita. So 28, this is again, I think we covered all of this. Law of conservation of energy, body is like a dress, it is temporary like a dream, and because of that, no need to lament. And so here is another interesting picture for the same verse, that it is unmanifest and how it is manifested. So Srila Prabhupada gives how the material world is manifested. So there is a before the creation there was unmanifest ingredients, because we may invent so many things. We create so many things, but actually we do not create. We just process the things. We just process any material given to us by God. The only creator is the Supreme Lord. So the things before creation are unmanifested, and Lord creates. There is a fine detail, so many, chapter after chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 3rd canto, 11th canto. You have 18,000 verses. Out of 18,000 verses, there are like thousands of verses devoted to the process of creation when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, which is expanded version of this book. So there Lord says that I create the sound first. From the sound comes ether, from ether air, from air comes fire, from fire comes water, earth, and then there are varieties of creations. They become manifest, like varieties created. And then again, at the end of this material world, everything is annihilated. So, I mean, he is saying that if you just think that only the matters are moving, then don't have to lament. Okay. Oh, Sachin Chaudhary raised hand. Yes. Go ahead, Prabhu. What question you have? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for allowing me to ask question. So I have two doubts, two questions actually. This is regarding text 24 and text 27. So soul is present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, eternally the same. So is the individual soul present everywhere, or every point of the space is having individual souls? What's that means?
Yes. So soul cannot be sterilized. Soul can live everywhere. Soul is present in coldest weather. Soul is present in the hottest weather. Soul is present, therefore, because it cannot be burned by fire. Soul is also present in fiery planet like sun planet. Soul is also planet in a very cool planet.
So no, my question is, no, I understand that. So that's Sitoshna, so that I know the fire weapon and all those things. But the question is, text 24 says soul is present, individual soul is present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. So is it the same soul who is present everywhere and who is immovable and eternally the same? So my question is like, is the same soul present everywhere? So how do you confirm that if it's the same soul present everywhere and unchangeable? Because because
let me tell you.
What is that?
It is not saying one soul is present everywhere. Okay? It is just telling the nature of the soul. Like you are present right now somewhere. I am present somewhere now.
That is our body.
Before birth, you were there somewhere. Like right now, you are breathing. You are breathing. There may be so many souls are going inside your mouth. So many souls may be coming from your mouth also. So the souls are everywhere.
But it is called soul is present everywhere, unchangeable and immovable. So my question is, it's immovable.
No, you are not trying to understand me. I am trying to tell you that soul is present everywhere. Okay. The soul's different natures are there. I will tell you another slide. So in that slide, we will discuss the same thing. I'm coming there. Okay. So you will understand it exactly what you are saying and what I'm saying. So soul is amazing. That's why soul is amazing. You can see this. Somebody may look at soul as amazing. Somebody may hear the soul as amazing, and somebody may describe the soul as amazing. But even after describing, one may not understand it. This is amazing about the soul. So that's what we are amazing. So I will tell you what I understand. Okay, but it is Lord Krishna is saying amazing. Okay. Okay. So now this is the section where we learned about the soul is eternal and body is always changing. So, you should not lament and do your duty. That's what Lord Krishna says. 11 to 13, 16 to 25, and 14 and 15 is about if you are not in that soul consciousness, if you are, still affected by the happiness and distress from the senses of the body, then you should tolerate them and still do. 26 is atheistic philosophy that, if you think that you are always born and always dying, then you should not, worry about it. Verse 27 to 30, the soul is eternal, indestructible, immutable, soul cannot be killed, and the body cannot be saved, therefore fight. So this is what Lord Krishna is saying. So these are the different characteristics of the soul, okay? Described in all these verses in this section. So now you are saying that the soul is immovable, soul is eternal, soul is present everywhere, right? So one soul is present everywhere. That's what you are trying to understand. But
No.
my understanding is that I am saying that there are innumerable souls.
No, but the thing is,
there are like infinite number of souls. They are present everywhere. There is no vacuum in this creation. Souls are everywhere.
so one thing only I want to, that's very obvious, but the thing is, one thing I want to tell you is that, if you see that it's immovable. So if it's, it be immovable
it is
then.
immovable. Yes, it is immovable. Doesn't mean that it is, fixed on your floor and then it is not moving. Immovable, that means the nature of the soul, the relationship with other entities, that is not movable. Like the soul, the body is moving, but the soul's nature is immovable. That means the relationship with Krishna is not changing. The eternality of soul is not changing. That's what it is immovable.
I think that's very, very, I think we are taking a long stretch in telling that. It's very, very
Yes.
assumed thing. I don't
No,
think,
that's what the Vaishnava understanding is that.
okay.
And if you think something else, then it is amazing right now, I can say. And with submission and service, gradually that may be revealed to your heart. But this is what we understand, that non-moving of the soul, achala, means your spiritual identity is achala. Your spiritual identity does not change. Your material identity is always changing. Spiritually, you do not change. Because every living entity, they have eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetanam. Eko bhavanam yo vidadhatu kama. So you are Nitya. Supreme Lord is also Nitya. Your relationship is also Nitya. Bhakti is Nitya. Okay? So that thing is unchangeable. Your bhakti, your relationship with Krishna is not changing. Only your material covering is changing. Only the dress is changing. That's what understanding is. Any other question? So there are different arguments, Arjuna gave. The first argument, he says that, all living entities, individuality, Lord Krishna says the individuality is never lost again. Therefore do not lament, because he was worried that, he is going to kill. So to remove all the confusion of Arjuna's mind, Lord Krishna gives several, reasons in this section. Second reason he gives is the change of body is a cause of lamentation, and Lord Krishna, defeats that argument. And third argument is that, but, Arjuna may argue that we may not lament for loss of youth to old age, but old age, we are still going to kill. And Lord Krishna says, well, you are going to kill, so they are going to get the, youth body. So, still do not worry. Arjuna may again think that attachment to current body to relative will be the cause of lamentation. Krishna advises, no, just tolerate, just tolerate. So anyway, Lord Krishna checkmates in all way, and just hold on. Okay, if you guys are ready, I will give you a quiz question, and then after that we will have more question answer, and I will try to let us see. Okay, so I am going to give a quiz question and then see how many people answer this, and then see whether the answer is amazing or not amazing. Everybody see? Can someone tell me whether you see the question?
Yeah.
Okay, so pick your best answer. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, so he says, because by knowledge and devotion only one can become smart, merge in supreme, get wealth, or go back to Godhead. What he says?
Go back to
Go
God.
back to Godhead.
Okay, so you are helping others also. Okay, that's good. Okay, we have got 6 people answered so far. I think that's all we can have. So 100% voted. Now 2 people. Okay, and polling, and I can share the result. Do you see the result now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so 2 people choose merge in the supreme, and 4 people say go back to Godhead. So I just want to clarify for those who voted in favor of merge in the supreme, that Lord Krishna defeats that argument that the soul is always individual. The soul was individual in the past. It is individual in the present. It will be individual in the future. Soul cannot be cut by any weapon. Soul cannot be withered by wind. It cannot be dried by wind, or it cannot become wet by the water. It cannot be burned by fire. So the soul is eternally, part and parcel of Krishna, eternally like sun glow and sun rays, related with each other. But it's not going to merge. The soul is, after death of the body, the soul is not going to merge in supreme. It is not going to become God. It's not going to become one with God. But soul may go to the spiritual world, or it may stay in the material world, depending on one's activity in this life. One may purify and go back to Godhead. But it's not going to merge, because Lord Krishna has not told that. And to accept Lord Krishna's words, we have to have that prescription given by Srila Prabhupada. It requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice in this life and previous life to understand the real nature of the soul. So this is the main point, that we have to have that sacrifice and penance to accept Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita, and then we will not get lost into impersonalism, where we think that everything is one. After the soul die, the pot is broken and the air merge in the air. It becomes homogeneous, one, equal to God. This is not the concept being taught here by Lord Krishna. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for participating in the poll. And any other question in this section, or share
Yes, Prabhuji.
you can share your relation, that when do you feel that you are not the body? And when do you think you are a body? Anybody, any volunteer first?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Matra spashtu konteya. Sense perception.
Can you say it a little full sentence?
Like so actually by sense perception we experience and identify ourselves with the body, and then we involve in the sense perception and thus get identified with the body because of the pain and the suffering.
And when do you realize that you are not this body?
When we realize, when we are able to know that we are soul in real.
I mean, that is a theoretical, but any practical moment come to the life that you feel that you are
Any
not
practical point? Okay,
practically, like in your life, like have you ever felt that, oh, I'm not this body?
I can't comment on that right now.
Okay, good, thank you. Let us see another devotees. Arvind Prabhu, you are here first time. We'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, can you repeat the question one more time?
The question is like, when in your life you felt you are a body, and when in your life you felt in a situation you felt that, oh, I'm not a body.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I gotta really think deeply about it. I like whenever I'm praying, I feel like the body sometimes does not belong to me, and it's more of this between me, the soul, and God. When I'm doing like when I'm chanting or something like that. But when I feel like the body belongs to me, I feel it when like I'm like running or something like that. Yeah, I don't really have the best answer, but I mean it's but I have felt like sometimes when I'm praying like and chanting and things like that, like the soul is it's just between the soul and God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Okay,
Sachin Prabhu, I will come to you. Let's see, hear from another one person, and then we'll come back. Okay, Aditya.
Sir, I think I can relate this with you said earlier that there are assigned duties when Krishna give to you, and when you follow those, then then there will be no sinful reaction back. So I think that after doing those assigned duties, the happiness and the internal satisfaction I will get, then I can say that I am not a body and I am soul. I think so. It's totally my opinion.
Good, very good realization. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, Anil Prabhu.
Your question, Prabhu, one more time. My daughter will answer.
When do you feel that you are not this body in your life? What moment you think you are not body and you are soul? Or what moment in your life you think you are body?
Yeah, my daughter will answer the question, Prabhu. Yeah.
When I'm in Krishna consciousness and when I'm chanting and doing kirtana, I feel like I'm the soul. But when I'm doing material stuff like going to school or playing with my brother, I feel like I'm the body.
Oh. But if you hear properly from Krishna, then Krishna says that if you do your activity like going to school also for Krishna, then you can be in a consciousness of soul. Krishna consciousness means you do your duty in a consciousness of soul, not on consciousness of body. So thank you so much for sharing. That's so wonderful.
I agree, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Sachin Prabhu, coming back to you now.
Yes, Prabhuji. So one question is regarding text 27. That's the one who has taken birth is sure to die, and after that is sure to be born again. So do not lament, do the duty. So now this means that anybody who takes birth here will never get liberation.
That is a different question. I will come back to you. Let's do this exercise with everyone, that how everybody feels their body in some time, and sometime they feel their soul. Okay.
Sure.
So let's, Swami Mataji, if you have any thought.
Prabhuji, I feel like when I have a materialistic life, or when I feel like I want some stuffs that is a body, the body feels to have that. But when I share something, or when I help someone, at the time I feel like soul is trying to help somebody. But I'm just my thought of view.
Okay. Good. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, let's see who are others here. Oh, so many other devotees. Lavlina Mataji, are you there?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
I feel I am a body when I play different roles in my life. You know, for the with the people that I'm bonded to, a daughter, a mother, a wife. Then I feel I'm not a body when I am in company of devotees. And when I'm hearing, chanting, you know, I'm involved in Krishna consciousness.
So what makes difference when you are in company of devotees that makes you feel that you are not this body?
Then I don't feel like I'm in that materialistic world. You know, I am involved in, you know, I am pretty much away from this materialistic world, not thinking of what's going around me. So that, you know, obviously makes a difference.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Yeah, devotees remind us of Krishna. So yes, so we are in Krishna consciousness means we are conscious of Krishna's relationship with us, or our relationship with Krishna. So that's so wonderful, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah. So our relationship is eternal. That you know, we are reminded. So thank you so much. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Padmarisa Prabhu is there. Narayana Prabhu is also there. I don't know. Padmarisa Prabhu is there. Prabhuji, would you like to share?
So, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dharma Pranam. Yeah, Prabhuji, I actually usually recollect that when I actually come to the situation after having a session, they would like, how could I be when we see that that death is sure and this body will die one day. But that mesmerizes me, saying that how could I die? It's like I should not be a person who should die every time and then take birth again, then die, then take birth every time, like that. So that actually gives me some kind of confusion. I should be something else than this body. I shouldn't be some energy or something which should be permanent. Should not be accustomed to death and all those things that are coming all along on the way. That is the moment which I actually think of, that my existence is something else. I'm not this body.
Thank you so much. Very, very, very nice. Thank you. Yeah. We are thinking of eternality. Yeah. It's beyond this body. Well, thank you so much for, I would like to, I don't have much realization, but I just feel I'm not the body when I'm in, you know, because when I'm sleeping and dreaming, I am in different world. So at that time, my, you know, puny realization is that I am in a different place. I feel like I am active. I'm doing so many things. uh, you know, but then when I wake up, like, oh, I'm this, I am here in this house. So the identity kind of, your role and your activities change in dream. So that's what Srila Prabhupada says in one of the purport, that this material body is like a dream for the eternal spiritual soul. The dream means it is temporary. So the activity that we are doing in the dream, you don't think that, oh, I am imagining this. At that time, we actually feel everything real, whatever happens to us. So that's I feel like that. And practically also, like all the time, like, when someone looking at me, they may be looking at, like, this is a Indian male, and in this body, and he has this kind of limitation. So one may look at my face or my body shape and size. I think when I see others, I don't have that vision. Most of the time I see the shape and size of other persons, but when I'm thinking about myself, I don't feel all the time like I am in this kind of body or this limited body all the time. So that's what I feel, that I'm not, I mean, because all the time I'm saying this is my hand, this is my leg, this is my eyes, this is my ear, my nose. So so basically this is my body. I'm not saying I'm the body by common sense. So it's very tricky. Ascharyavat paschati, ascharyavat vadati. So it's amazing. Soul is really amazing. So thank you so much for sharing, everyone. And Sachin Prabhu, your question was, you cannot escape the birth death, right?
Yeah, so the verse clearly says that one who has taken birth is sure to die, and after death is sure to be born again. So
Yes.
we don't have any chance.
Yes, because Lord Krishna is telling the atheistic view there. Arjuna, if you don't agree the Vedic knowledge that I'm telling you, the eternality of the soul, temporality of the body, that you are just taking the view that you are just born and there was nothing before you were born, and then it's just a combination of material elements combined together, and then the soul generate from the material. So like there is a chemistry theory that life come from chemicals, and then the chemical is finished.
Yeah.
So he's saying that don't lament. You're just thinking that the life is coming from the material combination, and it is finishing also by disintegration of the material combination. Then you should not lament. So this is the atheistic view of the material scientist. So Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna that this is not what you are. You are Mahabaho. You are the great civilized person, mighty Arjuna. You are trained in our Vedic culture. You are not going to take this atheistic philosophy. But if you are somehow thinking in that way, like the atheistic philosophers, still you don't lament, because after all, it is just like chemical combination. It's going to come out and then finish. So why should you lament about just bag of chemicals? Yeah, but then he has given all the arguments about character of the soul, how soul is eternal, how soul is never going to be killed by any weapon, any sort of weapon. So because it is eternal, like you are in certain apartment right now, and you are still surviving. So from leaving this apartment, you move to another apartment, right? So because you have to live somewhere. So you are just changing the apartment.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Similarly, the soul has to live somewhere after finishing of this body, after destruction of this useless body. It has to go somewhere else because it is always surviving.
Sure.
So it is just like change of apartment, change of the body. That's all.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Again, the point here Srila Prabhupada gives us that it requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice. That great deal of penance and sacrifice is not just a kind of, stand on the fire or stand on the ice cold water or stand in one leg and then stop the breathing process. This kind of tapasya is not recommended in Kali Yuga. Okay. Srila Prabhupada is simply telling us that we have to follow some simple tapasya, which is given to us in this Kali Yuga, is Harinam Sankirtanam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna is pleased by hearing his sweet names. When someone calls my name, then I am immediately attracted. So when we are calling Krishna's name, Krishna is suddenly, he said, oh, here is this my child, he is calling me. So immediately attracted to us. Immediately he is with us. Padma Prabhu gives the example of mobile phone all the time. He says, like, when we are chanting, like we are calling Krishna. Krishna is always with us, instantly with us. As soon as we say his name, because there is no difference between his name and Krishna himself, he is with us. So it's a simple method, but when we don't accept the simple thing, then we struggle. But simple tapasya is simply chant his name. That's all. And then, gradually, he will reveal to us our eternal nature, our relationship with him. Everything is there in the mantra. And then the devotee association. We have to be with devotees, and with cool mind, we have to try to understand. Cool mind means we have to have sattva guna in our life. Like we should avoid sinful activities, grossly sinful activities. Like, we should avoid, meat, fish, eggs. We should avoid illicit sex. We should avoid gambling. We should avoid, intoxication, because these are the activities. They are grossly sinful. If we are engaged in those activities, our consciousness is 100% materially absorbed. We cannot perceive anything beyond the bodily concept of life. So if we avoid those bad things, that means we are established in truthfulness, austerity, mercy, and what is the fourth thing? Cleanliness. Okay. So these four things are foundations for spiritual life. When we avoid these four bad sinful activities, we are established in these four legs of dharma, and we can avoid all kind of miserable things in our life. We stay cool. That means we acquire sattva guna. That means we come to the mode of goodness. From the mode of goodness, it is like an airport. So to fly in airplane, you need an airport. So like that. So you come to the mode of goodness means you come to the airport, and then you take a flight. That means once you come to the mode of goodness, then you can take a flight to the spiritual world. That means you can go to the transcendence. You can transcend the modes. You can go beyond the sattva-guna. You have to go beyond the airport. You don't make your house in an airport. You don't settle there. You just don't, stay there forever. But you take a flight. Similarly, the sattva-guna or the mode of goodness helps us to go to the transcendence. So that's how we have to apply this in the process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Automatically, once we get the taste, we can avoid the sinful activities. Any reflection, anything to share more before we end today's session? Okay, it seems everybody is content. So we'll begin the third section from next week, from verse 31. I hope everybody keep chanting and practicing and reading Bhagavad Gita, and we'll take next section from next Sunday. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.